Hey class, it is Adam Borsay for this week's video response dealing with ethical violations and board disciplines. And so I'm in the state of Ohio, and so I went and searched for discipline on our state board website, and they keep a pretty long record, alphabetical order record of all sorts of violations of people in the mental health professions. They don't group it by like group types per se of violations. It's just alphabetical order. They do have a list that says what kind of discipline was taken place. So I focus on ones that were suspension or removal of license. And so there's literally thousands over multiple years that are listed there. So I just try to focus on the ones that seemed like they would have a more of an extreme response. And so what I saw very common in the state of Ohio that kept popping up consistently as I was going through the documents were violations were either financial violations that people were fraudulently billing, or they billed in a way that was incorrect that led to state discipline, a revocation of some of their licensing when it came to insurance. And that was listed, I saw very common in the state of Ohio. The code violation was 4757-5-09. That there was a section dealing with fraudulent billing and the consequences in that. And then another very common one that I saw that kept popping up was actually not keeping up with continuing education requirements. A lot of person was supposed to have 30 hours that year of continuing education, but it only completed 6. And so that was violation of 4757.36 in the state of Ohio. So those were actually ones that just kept popping up over and over again. And there were a couple that were practicing outside the scope of your competency, but those were like very limited, and they're even punishment. They were more of like, quit telling people you can help them with that problem until you've completed coursework. The ones that were the most common, and I actually didn't find anything like, I thought maybe I'd find a lot with like sexual dual relationships, but I didn't, at least in my browsing through a few dozen of these, I didn't catch any of those. It was primarily insurance fraud or false billing or fake billing, or issues related to not taking care of your responsibilities as a professional counselor. And so that was, it was kind of interesting to see that, and just to see that it keeps their name forever on the board. And it's like, oh, that's like, I want to make sure that I don't get myself in trouble, because my name will be forever searchable in my state as someone who's gotten in trouble for a violation. And so yeah, so that would and then if I looked at as well the counselor impairment, which again, I didn't see counselor impairment in the ones I had searched. Again, it was just alphabetical order. Those were the ones I had found. But both the ACA and the state have very similar. My state code is 4788.17 that deals with counselor impairment. It has more of about liability to report, while the ACA and C.2.G focuses more on how the ethical responsibility a counselor has to monitor their impairment, to have self-awareness, but also to have other counselors and mental health professionals helping keep an eye on them, and they keep an eye on one another. So the my state had more of a focus on like, you better report this if you find a serious problem. The ACA was more of a focus on preemptive responsibility to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And so a couple of questions that come to mind is, one, do I have good relationships in my profession? As I become a counselor, people watching out for me, and am I watching out for other people so that impairment does not hinder our ability to do our jobs well? But then just another question that kind of pops up in my mind as I was going through all the things that I found on our board website for discipline was just the degree to which keeping up your responsibilities and being, practicing the principles of honesty and veracity when it comes to even how you insurance billing, because they're going to catch you, and then everyone will know forever that you are not an honest person. And so it was interesting assignment, kind of eye-opening, seeing all of that. I hope that you guys all had a great time in your research this week, and I can't wait to hear some responses and see some of your videos. Thanks.